Okay, welcome back. In our previous video, we attached the top, and since that video, I have taken some time with some 80 grit sandpaper and removed all my little pencil marks in the corners, including my big X's and Y's that hopefully you guys didn't draw. Got all that cleaned up. I have since grabbed a carpet square, which are located on that table over there, because a lot of the time when you're moving and doing stuff, you will eventually, with these rough tables, you could start dinging up the top of your top. So before you grab one of these carpet squares though, make sure you're not gluing anymore. So we're done gluing before I brought that here. Glue getting caught in this carpet and hardening would defeat the purpose. That would be dinging up your project. So save that. Also during the downtime, I did some wood burning. So shout out to my kids if we're still using this video in 13 years. Hi from Dad. Let's see here. So I did some wood burning. The wood burners are typically on that back wall there by the window. Give them a few minutes to get warm. They do get ridiculously hot, so they get so hot they can melt their own wire. So be careful with your cable management. I did lightly in pencil kind of sketch out what I wanted to do to make sure I didn't run out of space, then have to start writing on the side or something awkward like that. So you guys are required to put your name or initials or something, roughly who you are, and then roughly when you made it. If you want to put the full date, if you just want to put the month and the year, or just the year, just roughly who you are when you made it. It's kind of nice, like I said, down the road to kind of remember how old you were or when you made it, how old it is. So, okay, the next step for this assembly, getting this project together, is checking it for level. Okay, obviously it's a step stool. People are going to be climbing on it and reaching for stuff. You don't want this to be wobbly, rickety when you put it together. So, kind of on this table, on the carpet, it's okay. But the real test is to bring it to a truly flat, level surface. Which could be, the end of the table saws there. They're a great place to check. I don't trust the floors, because especially these floors, because they have that grit in them. I wouldn't trust that for being level. This jointer machine we'll learn about in Woods 2 and 3. You could just use that if you want. Okay, so let's check it out. Okay, so we got a problem. Okay, you can see that we get an air gap with one leg on the ground, same thing on the opposite side. So how to fix this, how to level it out, is going to be sanding down the longer of the two legs. So if that side comes off the ground, that's a short one. We don't want to sand that down or it'll make the problem worse. Okay, so it should be the same on the opposite side over here. So these two legs are the short ones. We definitely don't want to sand those. So so I don't get disoriented when I flip this, I'm going to hold on to them, flip them. These are the two legs I'm going to sand. So that corner and that corner. Okay. I kind of like this spot because I can plug it in there, get my electric sander right here and just keep checking. But you can bring your project to one of those spots, bring it back to the table, sand, bring it, it's not the end of the world. I don't have enough spaces like this for 30 kids, but if you're by yourself here and you got the spot, this is a good one to do it. So yeah, we're going to sand those. Okay. So I'm going to get an electric sander. Now you can start using these things. Really simple. Just make sure the grit's okay. This is all right. It's starting to get a little worn out, but we'll be using the middle. And make sure it's off before you plug it in. Okay, and then if the sanding, if this catch gets full, you can check that. We're still plenty good there. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. But you can empty that out into the dust collector if you need to. Now, electric sanders, the reason why I've been holding off on them for so long in this class is because they can wreck projects as fast as they can fix them. So for this particular task, we want to make darn sure we don't wreck that angle. We made an 8-degree angle on the table saw and we used the fence to make everything perfectly parallel. If I just start going crazy on this thing, it's not going to lay flat. So again, I'm a little nervous about doing this. You want to be careful and do it slowly, but you also just want to make sure that sander stays perfectly level and doesn't tip, doesn't turn back and forth. End grain is going to take a little longer to sand than what we've been used to in the past. So you do need to be patient and check it and flip it, check it, flip it. But again, be patient, try to keep the sander level. You know, come back and forth. Make sure you're not rocking anything forward and backward. We're going to sand both of those, and then we're going to flip it over, check it, come back and forth, and just keep going. Yeah, let's give it a shot here. One advantage of actually going back to your table is that that carpet square will keep it from drifting around on you. So that was kind of one negative, I guess, I've got over here doing it this way. Also, you saw me move the sander a lot. I've had some students that just want to try to prevent all that rocking around. They go, I don't know what I'll do. I'll just hold it right here. That builds up a ton of heat on one spot and can actually melt the sanding disc onto that little rubber pad, and it can actually like destroy everything. So I end up having to replace the pad and the sanding discs are easy to replace. I just tear those off, put a new one on. But when you wreck the pad, then I got to order them, and it's really hard on stuff. So let's see how we did. A lot better. You know, when we're being patient, notice how my geometry is still looking really good. You know, if you sanded too much on one side or the other, this would actually like come down to a point, and then just the corner or something would be touching. So this is really close, to be honest. You could just say good enough, done at this point. You know, depending on what surface you're on, it's not going to be as perfect machine ground flat as this steel table, but let's press our luck. Let me set the bar high for you guys. Okay, so again, it's wobbling here and here. So those are the low legs. I don't want to sand those. I want to sand these two. So it's the same two legs. So almost maybe about as much as I sanded just before, sand that again. Okay, and don't just set this on a table and sand stuff that can wreck things. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Make sure our table's nice. Not bad. Yeah, my table's not as clean as it should be. That's all right, we can clean that off. But that's pretty good. I don't even know what side that moves it to touch. Like I said, on any other surface, that would be perfectly level. I think we're gonna call that. That's pretty good. There we go. Again, I don't like using those sanders. Like, I haven't had you use them anywhere else because, like I said, they can wreck projects as fast as they can fix them. So, but a nice flat surface like that, once you're all put together, is pretty harmless. Cool. So let's check it over here. And again, on our carpet, yeah, we're very, very level. So that's good. Okay. Your project is assembled at this point and level, wood burned. The last thing I'm gonna have you do is get some 220 grit sandpaper. All the sandpaper is in those blue drawers if you haven't figured that out yet. And just give this a once over. Sanding with the grain. Okay, if you got any imperfections, I don't know if that's a pencil mark here. I don't know, you might have to step up to, there we go. So you might have to step up to a higher grit, or I guess a coarser grit, and just give everything a once over. There was a little rough there from the lumber yard. Okay, you know, everything that, you know, you've sanded with the 80 grit is pretty coarse. It's designed to remove material in a hurry, but leave some deep scratches. 220 is not very good at removing anything other than maybe some light pencil marks. However, it takes those coarse scratches that the 80 grit can leave behind and make it really smooth. I do have some 120 grit. It's kind of in the middle. So if you're, you know, kind of wondering, well, I don't want to put deep scratches into something, but I do maybe have some pencil marks to remove. 120 is a good choice as well. You know, try to these little chamfers have those sharp edges. Try not to round those too much. You could actually go back to your sanding block and be able to hit some of those edges. And like I said, the meat of your hand, that will kind of conform around a corner and round it. So a sanding block, as long as you don't twist it, will do a good job of that too. Okay, so more to do for me, obviously. I got to sand the legs and underneath and kind of maybe, you know, break some of those edges, smooth some stuff out. But we're going to give everything a once over 220. Again, always sanding with the grain. If your sandpaper gets loaded up, okay, there we go. If the sandpaper is all trash, you can't get a decent, obviously these are new pieces, so you're not always going to get a new piece. But if it's really, all the stuff is really junk, let me know. I can always get some more. So, but yeah, give it a once over. This is the last thing you do before we poly. That's going to be the next step that I'm going to walk you through. So get it as pretty and as nice as you can. You know, if you got time, take a day or two to sand. That's not a big deal. That's pretty common. So get it as nice as you possibly can. And then our last step is going to be putting on the poly.